Well, good morning all. It's 9 o'clock. At least it is somewhere. So we'll call the meeting to order. And Barb, would you read the land acknowledgement, please?
Good morning, everyone. As we gather, we recognize and acknowledge the traditional keepers of this land with whom we share today. The Township of Southgate is a part of the traditional territories of the Anishinaabe, Six Nations of the Grand River, Saugeen Ojibwe Nation, Haudenosaunee, and Saugeen Métis. The land that surrounds us is part of who we are as it reflects our histories. May we live in peace and friendship with all its diverse peoples.
Thank you, Barb. Madam Clerk, is there anyone registered for open forum?
None today, Mayor.
Thank you. So I need a confirmation of the agenda as presented. Jim? And Madam Clerk, sorry.
Sorry, through you, Mayor Milne. If we can amend it, items, let me just get to the number.
That's 3.
Items, 9.7.1, 9.7.2, and 9.7.3. Those are 3 planning reports for communications towers. The applicant has asked that those be removed from the agenda. So if we can amend it to remove those 3 items, please.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Is there any other amendments required? No, not seeing any. Mover and seconder is okay with that? All right. All those in favor? That is carried. Is there any declaration of pecuniary interest related to any item on today's agenda? Not seeing any. If one should arise, of course, you can declare it at any time. We have a public meeting this morning regarding a proposed zoning bylaw amendment pursuant to Section 34 of the Planning Act. The file number is C30-24, Christian Bauman. Any person or public body is entitled to attend the public meeting and make written or oral submissions in support of or in opposition to any of the proposed zoning bylaw amendments. Written comments should be submitted to the clerk, Lindsay Green. Please be aware that planning reports will be presented to council when the applicable bylaw is presented for consideration at a council meeting. No person or public body shall be added as a party to the hearing of the appeal unless, before the bylaw was passed, the person or public body made oral submissions at a public group meeting or written submissions to the council, or in the opinion of the tribunal, there are reasonable grounds to add the person or public body as a party. Anyone wishing to file a notice of appeal is encouraged to seek legal advice on your appeal rights, given recent changes to the Planning Act because of Bill 185. So the file we have this morning, as I said, is C30-24, Christian Bauman. The purpose of the application is to rezone 7,918 square meters of the subject lands to permit a 750 square meter dry manufacturing workshop and 500 square meters outdoor storage for a proposed on-farm diversified use. A 150 square meter agricultural shed with combined power room is to be constructed along with a livestock barn and a new farmhouse. The effect of the proposal is to rezone 7,918 square meters of the subject lands to permit a 750 square meter dry industrial workshop and a related 500 square meter storage as an on-farm diversified use secondary to an agricultural use on site, including a new farmhouse and livestock barn. Location of the subject lands is Concession 3, Southwest Toronto-Sydenham Road. Lot 224 to 225, Geographic Township of Proton, Township of Southgate. The civic address is 752334 Ida Street. May I please have confirmation from the clerk that proper notice was given in accordance with the Planning Act?
Yes, Mayor Milne, proper notice was given in accordance with the act. The sign was posted on the property and notice mailed out to members of the public.
Excellent. Thank you, Lindsay. I will now ask our junior planner, Victoria Mance, to review correspondence received from commenting agencies at this time. Good morning, Victoria, and welcome. The floor is yours.
Good morning, everybody. I'll just jump right in. Grey County stated that provided D6 guidelines can be addressed, staff have no concerns regarding the application. As well, Enbridge Gas had no concerns, but do reserve the right to amend or remove development conditions. Township Public Works indicated that safe access can be provided. No road widening is necessary as well, but it does require commercial entrance be paved, the paved apron, as well. No civic address sign is displayed and is required. The Saugeen Valley Conservation Authority, it won't be located, the proposed development won't be located within the approximate screening area. Therefore, further review and a permit is not required. As well, the Historic Saugeen Métis also provided comments following the publishing of this agenda. So their comments are available on the township's website under the file, but they have indicated that there are no concerns on this proposed development as well. And that is all the comments.
Very good. Thank you, Victoria. Were there any comments received from members of the public?
No.
Okay. Any questions or discussion from council at this time? Martin, please.
Thank you. Good morning, Victoria. On page 20, I guess, number 6 of the application, I'm just curious. Number 30 says describe the timing, and it's kind of vague on such an app. When everything is done and ready, does that imply that 2-year? Or is it the 2 years that they have to get it done?
It might just be timed. Yeah, they likely would like to get it done after the rezoning. So they leave a little bit of flexibility in their application typically. If they don't know the actual timeline of the rezoning, but typically it's within the approval of the rezoning that they'll start building.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Martin. Any other questions from council at this time? Barb, please.
Through you, good morning, Victoria, and thank you. With the location of this proposal being in great proximity to a lot of development going in the Dundalk area, is there going to be more restrictions as far as noise and dust and everything else? It generally is a little further away from a subdivision.
So it has to follow the D6 guidelines. So it's dependent on the type of use. There's different classes. So there's 3 classes. So this would likely fall under class 3. So it would have to be about 300 meters away from a residence. And the primary settlement area was over, I believe, 350 or quite over 450 meters away from this proposed development. So I believe there wouldn't be any concerns with that going forward, as long as it follows the D6 guidelines, would be over 300 meters from the nearest residence.
Okay. Well, Martin, go ahead.
Yeah.
Please.
Yeah, thank you. That was my next question at the end of this public meeting. On the overhead map, it says proposed barn. And I'm talking about MDS now, not the D6 regulations and what have you. And when you look at the map of the applicant showing all the lots, I never even thought of the subdivisions, but there are a lot of residential lots on there. What's that maximum from the MDS? Because that's specific on what kind of cattle or sheep or pig, isn't it? Isn't there some formula?
It would depend, yeah, on the, I believe, how many heads are in the livestock barn. That's provided usually at the building stage, the building permit. They'll provide MDS calculations. But again, it's the workshop itself was about 3 plus 300 meters. So the barn itself would probably be about 400 meters plus from the nearest residence as well. So I would say they're well within, outside of the MDS requirements.
Okay.
Yep, thank you.
Joan, go ahead. Please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good morning, Victoria. Do you know what kind of product it is, since it is a little close to the subdivision? It says dry product, but I searched everywhere, but I wasn't too sure if I wasn't looking quite well.
Yeah, dry scale manufacturing, I believe it's woodworking, but I can also clarify and include that in the report going forward.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, there'll be another opportunity here as we go along for questions. I'll now ask if the applicant or agent is present, please identify yourself by stating your name for the record, and would you like to make any representation on your application? Not hearing any, I'll move along. Is there anyone present who would like to make a submission in support of this application? Conversely, is there anyone present who would like to make a submission in opposition to this application? Not hearing any, I'll ask council if there's any further questions or discussion required. Jason.
I guess it's just kind of a what if, we approve this and then down the road, when it's that close to the subdivision, will there is there there's more restrictions on him from building again, or, if the subdivision starts complaining there's a farm that close, is there anything that they can do, or once it's approved now, it's good?
Through you, I would say still following the D6 guidelines, they're well within their right at the 300 meters to follow the requirements to have an OFD on their land. Again, it's about 300 plus meters from the nearest residence, and then from let's say the downtown itself, Main Street, it was about 1 kilometer away.
Thank you, Victoria. Monica, please.
Hi, good morning, council, and thank you, Councillor Rice, for asking that question. I was also focused on future projections of any changes that may be necessary. So thanks for asking that. And I also just wanted to mention I will be on video shortly as I'm just fixing up my camera. But I wanted to let you know I'm here as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or discussion required? Okay, I'll declare this portion of the public meeting adjourned at, 9:10. Thank you all. All right, no delegations or presentations this morning, no. Adoption of the minutes from November 20th, council and closed session. Someone care to move those minutes, please? Jason, seconded by Martin. Thank you. Any discussion or questions? All those in favor? That is carried. Reports of municipal officers. The first is from our Economic Development Officer, Brenna Carroll. This morning, she's here to talk about a CIP application. So I need someone to move. Barb and Jim. Welcome, Brenna. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Mayor and Council, and good morning. This report is to request the approval of CIP funding to Southgate Eye Care. They've purchased the building in 20 Main Street East in Dundalk and hope to convert it from its former use of real estate office to an optometrist office. And they're hoping to add a accessible entrance with a deck and a ramp, as well as extension to the roof in order to protect the deck from snow coverage in the winter. This report is suggesting that we provide $10,500 to this business, with $9,000 to support half the cost of the installation of this new structure that will make the building accessible, and $1,500 to cover up to half the cost of the planning fees, as it is likely that this building will have to apply for a minor variance. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you. Are there any questions related to that report? Joan, go ahead, and then Martin, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's not a question, just a very detailed report, Brenna. Even expanding on the balances of the CIP funds, that was really great. I just want to let you know, I support this application. I think it will be a great complement to have an eye care facility in the township, especially on Main Street, because primary eye care is so important. And I'm hoping that they will offer a wide range of services. As a glasses wearer myself, I'm anxiously waiting so I can actually get my glasses right here in town instead of driving to Orangeville or Brampton. So that's really good. After I read your report, I literally drove to the address to make myself familiar with the building because I wasn't too sure where it was. So thank you.
Thank you, Joan. Martin, please. Mike. There you go.
No, just a comment of support too. This is one of the things that was supposed to be in the strip mall that kind of failed. And this kind of service is really needed in the community because you have to go to Markdale, Shelburne. I think it's a great use of the community funds. And the collateral, not damage, but the collateral effects, people going and waiting. Look at all the new restaurants in town. It's only going to help them too. So there's benefits so much for even getting your eyes done. So it's well worth the money from the fund.
Thank you, Martin. Any other comments, questions? I'll call the question. All those in favor? That is carried. Thank you, Brenna. Moving on to the next report, we have a report here from the clerk regarding council meeting schedule approval. So as you may recall, there was a number of options here that was presented, and I had asked the clerk to break them down to various options, and she has done that. Thank you, Lindsay. So I'll ask maybe you to give your report first rather than ask for a motion, because we don't know where we're going to end up here. So Lindsay, please.
Certainly. Through you, Mayor Milne. Like, as you said, there's quite a few options in here. We tried to make a mock-up of each of the different versions, so it was kind of easier to picture. So there's 5 options here. I think we tried to combine all the comments we heard at the last meeting. So I don't really have a whole lot to add. We just, I guess, need to choose so we can get the next year booked. Maybe if I may, I'll just put a couple procedural notes, because this
Please.
is not a motion we normally see. So you'll notice that each of the motions are separated, so each one will be voted on separately. So each one needs a mover and a seconder. If we don't get a mover and seconder, then that one would just be dead. Once the first one that passes is the option, that's what passes, and then we wouldn't go through with voting on the rest. So
Right.
once the one is approved, then that is what our option is. So the first one I had to separate out just to get that initial direction. So
Right. So you want us to vote on motion number 1 first to proceed.
correct.
All right. So if I could have a mover and seconder on the motion number 1, Jason? Joan, thank you. Any discussion on that one? That one's just a procedural matter, just to allow us to proceed to make a choice. Do we need 2/3 to waive procedure? Yes, we do. Okay. Okay, any further questions on that? I'll call the question. All those in favor? That is carried. Okay, so motion 2 is option 1, and you can see there that is suggesting we meet every 3 weeks, alternating, or every 3 weeks on a Wednesday, alternating times. So the first meeting of the month would be 9 a.m. and the second would be at 1 p.m. Is that correct, Lindsay?
Yep, that's correct.
Okay, is there a mover for that one? Okay, seeing no mover, that option fails. So motion number 3, which is option 2, we would, this one suggests we would meet every 3 weeks on a Tuesday at the same time every meeting, being 9 a.m. Is there a mover for that one? Martin, thank you. Is there a seconder? Barb's going to second that one. Okay. Any discussion on that one? Barb, please.
Thank you. And through you, I seconded it because I think it's worthy of debate. I'm not a fan of having a meeting the day after a long weekend. It does not give staff time to receive or respond to any questions in advance. If there's an addendum agenda on the Friday or if we don't get to read it until the weekend, I'm not as supportive of that as staying with every 2 weeks. But I did want to speak to the option, we're in option number 3. I like the fact that you're considering putting the Committee of Adjustment and Public Planning meeting back to back.
Sorry, we're on option 2, Barb. It's motion 3, but it's option 2. So that would be public meeting.
Right.
Same day.
Sorry. Thank you.
Nope, that's all right. It's a little, I
It is
don't want to say
confusing.
confusing, but
No, it is.
well, it's a lot to
Yeah.
keep in your head, that's
Yeah.
for sure. Okay, so is there any further, Martin, go ahead, please.
Yeah, I kind of like this one looking at it. I don't like the addendum little 200-page agendas every 2 weeks. I'd rather just spend my time and let's have 2 500-page or 600-page, get things done. If there's a special meeting need to be called, then that can be called.
Yep.
That's not against procedure. The only thing that Barb mentioned was the public planning. And I was wondering about that too, and as well as like a stat holiday. But public planning meetings, council doesn't have to attend. That's our option. We can read the report and still put in, and like you mentioned last meeting, Lindsay, if there's any comments, the public can put them in well ahead, and that applies to us too, even if I'm sending it in as a private citizen. And
Correct.
goodness knows I've had enough things come in with everything going on around me. So that's why I picked option 2 out of all of them. Nothing's perfect, but this would
Thank you,
seem to
Martin.
help everybody.
Thank you, Martin. Joan, you had your hand up?
I did, but I kind of changed my mind. I know I'm just gonna vote no. I would not support a Tuesday meeting. That will totally mess up my calendar for the rest of the next 2 years. So I could not support a Tuesday meeting. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other discussion? Okay, I'll call the question on option number 2. All those in favor? Martin? That fails. So we move on to option 3, which it would suggest that we meet every 3 weeks on Tuesdays, alternating times. So the first meeting of the month would be at 9 and the second would be at 1, as is their current practice. And the Committee of Adjustment and the public planning meeting would be scheduled once a month around council meetings. Someone wish to move adoption of that one? There's no mover. That one fails. Option number 4, meetings bi-weekly, which is would suggest that we retain our current schedule. So the first meeting in the month would be on the first Wednesday. And the third Wednesday would be the second meeting, and the first meeting would be at 9, second at 1. And Committee of Adjustment and Public Planning would be as they currently are. Someone care to move that one?
Move it first and see if it gets on.
Well, I think we've got that because Jim's going to move it and you second it. All right, any questions, discussion on that option? Jim? Oh, all right.
Yeah, no, I like this one. It kind of stays with where we're at. I'd be fine if there would be the possibility of doing the Committee of Adjustment and the planning meetings, like if we could do one at, like, I don't know if you could do one on the first meeting and then one on the second one. I don't know how that, if it's got to be towards the end of the month for those though.
No, it wouldn't have to be. I'm just trying to think how that would work.
So as I say, option 4 is,
Yes.
that's what we're doing currently.
Yes,
yeah.
correct.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. Monica?
Yes, just a procedural question. So if this does pass, does that mean that the other options that are remaining will not be discussed?
That is correct.
So that is a little bit of a concern on my end, because I am considering the PM meetings. So is there a way that we could pick the ones that, can we have an option to vote on the rest?
Not if this one is adopted, the current schedule, unless somebody makes an amendment.
Then I would like to make an amendment
And what would your amendment be?
that a PM meeting be considered.
Well,
For,
that's what we're doing now, is considering it. So if your amendment is to make the second meeting, or for example, a night meeting, then that would be your amendment.
yes, sir. So, just through you, Chair, I would like to make an amendment that one of the meetings, per month be the 5:30 option. That way, there will be more inclusive practice for residents to be able to attend, and also to take a look at the cost factors for that, and have a discussion point for that, being whether it could be virtual only and other matters of that. So I'm not sure how that would work in the amendment. So if it's just the amendment to consider the PM meetings and then be able to discuss those, I would like some guidance on that.
So what I'm hearing is that your amendment is that the second meeting of the month be at the evening time of 5:30 PM. Is that your amendment?
Yes.
Okay. Is there a seconder for that amendment? There is no seconder, so that that amendment fails. So we're back to the original motion to adopt the current schedule. Did I see Jason? Yes, you had your hand up. Go ahead, please.
Just to touch on Jim's point, could we amend it that I kind of like the idea of the committee adjustment and planning back to back. Just if, you know, it only take a half an hour, then I know it's virtual anyways, but it's like, if-
So,
Lindsay?
I would like that, but that's,
so you still would have it on a separate day, just instead of 9 and 1, we do 9 and 10:30.
that's what I would
Or-
prefer, but
Yeah,
that,
yeah, and that's fine. I had said times could change to shorten the meetings as discussed, so we don't need a formal amendment for that.
Okay,
like I know we don't have to go to the planning, but some of them, it's interesting to be
Yep.
involved or.
Yeah.
I know we can send questions in.
Mhm.
sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Barb?
Thank you, through you. So the amendment that I was going to make was that the Committee of Adjustment and Public Planning meeting, so be back to back. If we are proposing it, now that doesn't have to be scheduled by January 1. Like if we were to look at how could that work in relation to one of our meetings, it's a little difficult because of scheduling, but if it's on a separate day and we're having Committee of Adjustment at 9 and Public Planning at 10:30, could the compensation be just a half day with allocation to Committee of Adjustment? That would therefore then save $80 per person per Committee of Adjustment meeting over and above the half day, because we don't have that 2-hour
Correct, yeah.
break.
Yeah, I mean, we can look at our policy 21 and look to review that or update it and.
And
yeah.
the other part of that equation is if someone only attends the Committee of Adjustment, then they would only be paid for the Committee of Adjustment.
Correct, yeah.
That's kind of where I'm thinking we may find a bit of savings.
Mhm.
Because I just couldn't support an additional $44,000 a year to hold an evening meeting where we're restricted by a 4-hour block of time. Whereas when we have a 9 AM meeting, we can go for 7 or 8 hours if we had to, not advisable. We don't make good decisions after a certain period of time, but yeah, I that's why I couldn't support that, but I would be open to looking at opportunities to make better use of our time and better use of our financial resources, if that is possible. So how should the amendment read? That Counselor?
I don't believe we need an amendment. I had added that the times could change and we can look at the policy. I can.
I think it could be understood that
Yeah.
we're gonna adopt, it
Option, if
appears,
it's option 4, it says times can change to shorten
Yeah.
time in between meetings as
So
discussed.
perhaps we could just leave that particular item with the clerk's department to sort through. Okay? Go ahead, Jason.
I guess I was just wondering, I don't think if we attend a planning meeting, can we put in for that? Oh, because I never do. Like if it's not if it's an option, why would we get?
So yeah.
Anyway, I
you
wasn't
get a
sure. I
half
never
day-
have,
You
so
have a
I-
half day per diem for attending public planning meetings.
Yeah, okay.
Monica?
Yes, just to the point of Deputy Mayor with regards, because she brought up the evening meeting option, I think it'd be remiss for me not to mention that with the original time when we all came on council was a PM meeting, and I do understand costs, but this is residents' money, and that those meetings, we spend money on a lot of different things, and I think allowing the public to have an opportunity to attend in the evenings, that times have changed, in terms of our growth and schedules, and I think that's a missed point. And also, without having the option to even discuss the evening meeting option, that we could do virtual, that we could have staff come in only virtually when they need to speak to a matter. So I think that we're missing out on offering that PM option. And so I just wanted to say that is not, we spend a lot of money on different things, and the one basic option for people to attend, I find that we're missing that right now, and that's unfortunate.
Any other discussion? Okay, we're going to vote. To be clear, we're voting on option number 4, which is to retain our current schedule. All those in favor? That is carried. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Madam Clerk, for your indulgence on separating all that out. I know you spent a fair bit of time on that one. And thank you for the financial implications as well. That was well done. Okay, moving on to Public Works Manager Jim Ellis's report. It is the winter operational plan, which is ironic. 2 weeks ago, we wouldn't have been talking about a winter operational plan. This morning, we very much are. So I wonder, yes, John is here for that one. I need a mover and seconder to adopt that operational plan. Barb and Jim. Welcome, John. The floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, Mayor Milne. Through you, this is just something we do every year. It's required through the Municipal Act that we do this manual to provide what level of service we're going to be doing for the township on the roads. Just lays out what we have for the route, the maps for the routes, and what we have for equipment and operators. And also has a comparison from one year to the next of the number of events we had, the amount of snow, and so on.
Thank you, John. Are there any questions? Jason.
Morning, John. I just noticed in the report that we've added 2 patrollers now. In the past, we've only had 1, have we not?
Yeah, so in the past we had 1 and they would go and do the sidewalks in Dundalk afterwards. We would also have assistance from the rec department staff to look after sidewalks in Dundalk as well, but we don't have that assistance this year. They're busy working in the rec department, so just try and help cover the needs for that. We've added the extra patrol route, and it also helps us cover more things we should be checking. With the 2 patrol routes now, we can check more roads and keep an eye on other things such as streetlights and stuff like that. So,
Yeah, go ahead.
So the guys that are patrolling, did they patrol for the whole shift, or do they at 6 or 7? Do they jump in a plow or what? Just wondering.
No, so they start at 2 o'clock, do the patrol route. So they're roughly 2 to 3 hours each one doing the patrol route, and then as I said, they go back to Dundalk and Holstein respectively and jump into sidewalk machines and clear the sidewalks and other little side streets in Holstein.
Thank you, John. Any other questions? Martin?
Excuse me. Morning, John. There's one part in the report with winter maintenance facilities. And I think I asked this last year. The depots don't have mechanics. So do you do your own oil changes, but then every year, if something major, you have at least 2 mobile mechanics on retainer? And if that's working, would that be a budget line in the future because of growth? Kind of going out there, but.
Yeah, so we do our own preventative maintenance here on the equipment. So oil changes, greasing, and minor repairs. We have 2 heavy equipment mechanics, mobile mechanics that we have not on retainer, but we have good relationship with them. They come and help us out as quick as they can. And we use Highway 4 or Steer Enterprises for the truck end of things. And they're usually very good at getting, if it's a major repair, getting us in quick and getting it done. And we also have a spare unit for if there is a unit goes down, we can still keep up our number of routes.
Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you, John. This is more to you, Lindsay. The significant weather events, it said in the report that they do all these. I was just wondering, is the Buoyant Alert app, what's going on with that? Because it wasn't mentioned in this.
Sure. I'd have to get an update from our communications officer for current, but I believe it's live. I know through sharing with the fire department, they got a lot of subscribers. But it is something that, yeah, we would use if there was road closures or a significant weather event to send out to residents. It's one of our communication tools now.
Very good. Thank you. Good question, Martin. Any other questions? Sure, go ahead.
In the subdivisions, John, on the unassumed roads yet, are we plowing some of them? Like we plow them, but they reimburse us for it. Is that how it goes on most of them?
Yeah, on some of them, once they hit, I believe it's 70% occupancy, then we take over the responsibility for them. Before that, it is Flatos, and any that we do have an agreement with Flato that we plow, we do get reimbursed from them for.
Thank you, John. Jim?
Hi, John. Just a question. When they are patrolling, they are in a pickup, I assume, right?
Yeah.
Is there where, if there is a bit of weather, you know, it's not a bad storm, where they would hop in a truck and take it out to do a little, like if there was minor drifting in certain areas?
So 2 of our 3 patrollers just have a Class G license. That's something we were looking at, having a requirement, but just it's been difficult to find staff that have their DZ or AZ that could jump in a plow truck to take for a patrol. So just to keep things a little bit easier for hiring, we don't make that a requirement.
Okay.
Thank you, John. I was talking to John yesterday about timing of certain areas of the township of being plowed, and of course, by the time I got home after talking to John, the road I was thinking about was like this tabletop. So thank you very much, John, and all of your crews for all the work you do. And I know on a day like this, it's not pleasant necessarily being out on the road. So thank you for all your efforts to keep everyone safe. Okay, if there's no further questions, I'll call the question. All those in favor? That is carried. Thank you very much, John. Okay, the next report is here from our CEO, Dina Lundy, regarding a loan for unfinanced capital, the Victoria Street project. Someone care to move that, please? Martin, thank you. Is there a seconder? Joan, thank you. Dina, welcome. Floor is yours.
Thank you, Your Worship. This report is being brought forward for unfinanced capital spending for the budgets of 23 and 24 for the Victoria Rehabilitation Street project. The loan requested is for the 2024 unfinanced amount, which is the $4 million that you see here. And staff are suggesting that we take a 1-year full-term fixed rate loan with a 10-year amortization for this year, and then refinance through Infrastructure Ontario next year.
Very good. Thank you. Any questions? Barb.
Through you to the CAO. Thank you, Dina. And one more question that just came to mind. Is there a penalty for refinancing? So we take a fixed rate for 10 years amortization, but we're hoping to refinance it after 1 year. What would the penalty be? I know what the interest is.
Thank you. The idea would be to finance the phase 1 of the unfinanced Victoria Street through IO, and then when this loan expires, then we would start a new loan with IO because it's 1 year. As long as we take it to term, there will be no penalty. It's a 1-year term, a 1-year loan. The amounts are amortized over 10 years. So rather the loan payment per month is different as if it was amortized over 25 years, but the loan is a 1-year loan.
Any other questions? Jason?
So are we like we take this loan out for a year and go back to Infrastructure Ontario? Are we basically guaranteed we're going to get that? Because I know I've heard other municipalities, well, you've already got the funding. Why are you coming to us now? And I guess I'll just if you figured out it's 156,000 more interest than it would be if we went through that. And I guess the question is why, you know, we don't have our stuff in order, so like, I don't know, it's gonna be another $156,000 interest, I figured out, maybe I'm wrong, but are we guaranteed basically if we put in for that we're gonna get it, or are we gonna have to stick with the CIBC, I guess is the.
Dina?
Thank you. So the treasurer and I had a lengthy discussion with Infrastructure Ontario. And they're very positive about that. All we have to do is finish our 23 financials, get our financial statements done and our audit, and post our FERS. And that is the requirements in order to get the loan. So we could apply for the other 5 million for the phase 1 of the rehabilitation project as soon as we're done our 2023 financials. These are 2 unfinanced, so it's already in the budgets for 23 and 24. This is what council chose on how to finance these projects. So when we don't take the money to finance projects, it's funded, we're paying through our reserves, and this would be replenishing that reserve. So unfortunately, for cash flow purposes, we need to take that loan in order to replenish what we spent because Victoria Street is almost done. So those 2 expenditures we need to follow through on. But IO was very much positive in their comments to us and all the questions we asked of them. And additionally, the Ontario government has brought forward even more potential capital that municipalities can tap into even at longer terms, up to 40 years. So that is being brought forward as a recent change from the Ontario government. So I'm confident that we'll be able to refinance through Infrastructure Ontario as soon as possible.
Thank you, Dina. Joan, did I see your hand up?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you, I was just going to ask a question, but Dina answered it before. I was asking, so the money that we're going to borrow, it's certain that we will be getting it back to pay off back this loan.
Dina?
So we will be taking 2 new loans. One will be for the 5 million for the first phase of Victoria Street. And the second one, when this loan expires after 1 year, we will take another loan to refinance the amount that we should have borrowed. So whatever is left over from the principal amount of this loan, we will take an IO loan to pay back. That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
So if I could maybe summarize or try to, we're going to borrow the $5 million for the phase 1 of Victoria Street. We're going to take it on a 1-year term because we currently do not qualify for Infrastructure Ontario because we have not finished our 2023 financials and audit, but I understand that's underway. So in 1 year, when we do qualify for Infrastructure Ontario loans, we will then apply for a loan from Infrastructure Ontario to pay off the CIBC loan because we're going to get better terms at Infrastructure Ontario. So this is just a bridge finance really from CIBC to get us to where we do qualify for Infrastructure Ontario at a better rate. Any further questions? Martin?
Just a comment. When you say better rate, Infrastructure Ontario is provincial funding, so it's our taxpayers' money.
Yep.
I would have thought 3.9% would have been a heck of a lot lower because that's not even 1% difference between a bank and the government. So that's just a comment, but I totally agree with the whole process. Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Go ahead.
So when we started this process to fund it this way, we were anticipating having our ducks in a row to get this funding, which at the cheaper rate, but we just haven't done it. Yeah.
Correct. For a number of reasons. Okay, I'll call the question. All those in favor? That is carried. So now we move to the bylaw to actually authorize the bank loan. Someone care to move that, please? Martin, seconded by Barb. Thank you. Any further any further comments, Dina, on the bylaw?
No, thank you, yours.
Oh, okay, thank you. Any questions from council? I'll call the question. All those in favor? That is carried. Thank you very much. Thank you, Dina. The next report. How are we doing? All right, we're all right for time so far. HR Manager Kayla Best has a report here regarding health and safety policy. And then she has another report after that. So we'll start with the health and safety. Someone care to move that, please? Martin, thank you. Seconded by Barb. Welcome, Kayla.
Thank you. This is our annual health and safety policy review with council. We are required to get the employer to sign off on it each year. So this year there wasn't any changes as we felt that it's still, that statement still fits our goals for health and safety in the organization.
Thank you, Kayla. Any questions? Oh, did I get a mover and seconder? Yes, I did. Any question? Martin, go ahead.
Kayla, this might sound like a silly question. I know there's no silly questions, but there's no changes. You have to bring it before council for still review and approval. Does this get sent to the offices of the occupation health? Does it get sent to the government to show that we are complying with everything? Like, do you know what I mean? Does this report get sent up the chain?
Thank you. No, we do not send it anywhere. It would be if we were to have an inspection or something like that, that we can show them that we've been doing it.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Call the question. All those in favor? That is carried. The second report is regarding the cost of living allowance and staff step increases. Someone care to move that, please? Barb, thank you. Is there a seconder? Joan, thank you, Joan, for seconding. Kayla, welcome again.
Thank you. This is this is an annual report that we bring to council, and we do bring it ahead of the budget process just because of timing. These are effective, our policy says effective January 1st. So we need to get all that in motion in order to get it ready for January 1st. There is one change that we are asking for this year, and that's just due to administrative processes, that it's actually effective for the first full pay period of 2025. This is because our payroll system has limitations of having two different rates in one pay period. So it makes it challenging for us. So it would actually be effective January 3rd.
Okay, thank you. And otherwise, though, this complies with our current policy, correct?
Yes, that's right. Sorry. And I should have mentioned, if I can add on, please.
Yeah.
The October CPI is what we use, and it came in at 1.996. So COLA is recommended at 2%.
Very good. Thank you, Kayla. Any questions from council? Jason?
So I get it's in our policy to do this time. Broken record, I guess I do it every year. I just don't get, I know we want to get it done to start of the year, but we have no idea where our budget's coming in at. And I know we're municipality, we're not private, but like, if you don't know what kind of year you had or what we're going to have the next year, like, I don't know. I get it's in the policy, but I just wish it would, we'd have some idea what the budget's going to be before we just, I'm not against paying people that do a great job, but it's just an automatic increase. And I get that it's on performance, but I just wish it was after we knew what was coming down the pipe. Just a comment, I guess.
Any other questions? Jim?
Yeah, I guess to echo that, we're going to have an increase in taxes. And
Are we?
Well, I imagine so.
Hmm.
That would be my guess, wouldn't you?
Your call.
It's been the past 2 years. It's always 25. Oh, it's only going to be $25 a month. And it's, people are struggling now.
So your question is?
Is there a way we can put this off till we see the budget? And I'd like to make a motion, we put it off till then.
You want to make a motion to refer this to what?
Till budget time. When we see what we're looking at.
Okay. Is there a seconder for that amendment? Monica?
Yes, I second it.
Okay, discussion on the amendment. Barb?
Discussion on the referral, sorry.
The referral, my mistake. Sorry. Barb?
Through you, so we don't know when we'll get our budget approved. We don't have a schedule for that yet. And our policy says that we grant COLA, which I thought was going to be 3.1, by the way. So yay. And once the budget is approved and we still are to follow policy, then we're into a retroactive state of affairs. So we're just delaying the inevitable if we're going to follow policy. If we're not going to follow our policy, then we need to send the policy back for review, in my opinion. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Any other questions, discussion on the referral? Jason?
So how long has this policy been like this? I just find it. I get it's a COLA and it's in our policy. We do it every year. When we have no idea when the budget's coming or what it's going to be. How long has this policy been in place, or is it kind of forever? I can't remember. Well, but before that it was kind of the same, wasn't it? I know we passed it again.
I would suggest that this policy of sorts, it may not be word for word, has been in place for many years. You can see the history there, what we've done back as far as 2020. Yeah, it's been this way for a lot of years. Kayla?
Thank you. I believe the last time this policy was approved by council was 2014.
And by no stretch is this policy abnormal from a lot of municipalities. I think we need to demonstrate that we're I mean, the old adage is pay me now or pay me later. I'm not sure it makes a lot of sense to refer this back until budget is complete. At least that's the suggestion here. Barb?
Through you, thank you, Kayla. The fact that the policy was implemented or dated 2014 doesn't mean that it hasn't been reviewed. At every turn of our market evaluations that we've directed staff to go out to the market and determine, are we still on track? Are we still competitive? Are we at the 50th percentile? And we've brought, was it 2023 that we implemented an update as well for staff? So it's not whether the policy is in place, we discuss it at whenever we have a market check. So we did that through the organizational review and market evaluation to compare Southgate to our neighboring municipalities as recently as 2023. Thank you.
Thank you, Barb. Monica?
Yes, just through you, Chair. Just wanted, let me see if this works better. Can you hear me okay with this?
Hear you fine.
Thanks. So just with regards to the reason why I was seconding this motion is that while there are policies that are in place, they are also guidelines. So we have to also see how the township is doing financially. And for myself, based on the information that I've been reviewing, I think we need some more restraint a bit to see where we are. Even if there was a retroactive pay that would happen, at least we would know what numbers we are working with. And so that's why I would rather have a better understanding where we are financially as a township. And this is not to take away from staff, because I also have been staff for over 2 decades for municipalities and currently still am at another place. So it has nothing to do with paying people what they're worth and all of that. So this is primarily just fiduciary responsibility, making sure that we are handling things in a way that would make sure that we're in good shape. So that's why I was seconding this motion, just to make sure that our finances are all in order.
So if I could ask you a question, Councillor Singh Soros,
Sure.
what circumstances regarding the budget would determine that we do something different than what's being proposed here right now?
I would like to know the different factors involved. One, like you asked at the beginning, when Councillor Ferguson said we're probably going to have a tax increase, and you said you think so. So there's open, ended right there. We're not sure. Also, just trying to understand where we are fiscally as a township. I would like to have a better understanding if our audits are complete, if things are being done properly before we make increases and things of that nature, and without going into too much details, just financially wanting to make sure township is in good shape.
Barb?
So through you, if I may, then if at budget approval, council decides that staff aren't getting a raise because the budget won't allow it, or the budget, we could, maybe cut how much is it? $68,000 from taxation. Total, it's less than 1%, correct? Is that how I'm reading that? 2025 budget impact for step increases is 87,000, but $18,992 of that is user fee, building, water department ratios. So less than 1%, $68,000.
Sorry, just a point of clarification. That's just the step increases. I'm
Yeah.
not sure if everybody's talking about COLA and
No,
step increases.
I'm
or
just talking about step increases.
Then that's correct.
Cost of living is cost of living. So, inflation. Thank you.
Thank you, Barb. Any other question? Martin, please.
Well, not a question, just more of a comment. The township can't run without staff. It's going to be in the budget no matter what. And Dina, what's that called when we have to pay certain things in the budget no matter what, like the policing? What's it called?
I guess you would say it's
uncontrollable. As far as I'm concerned, I'm going to take a different tack. This is an uncontrolled. It goes into that framework as far as I think. We need the staff to do the work. We need the police to keep everything safe. We need this, we need this. If this was a policy and this is what then that's there. And if it's going to pay you now or pay you later, what's the point of a referral? Because it's going to get paid out. And if it's going to get paid out, it's going to help the people at the first of the year without them waiting to see what the heck's going to happen 6 months from now. Just a comment.
I would agree.
Thank you, Martin. Dina?
I do agree with that. And what we need to take into consideration sometimes is that the cost of retention would likely, or the cost of replacement of employees would likely cost more than the 2% of a nominal gesture of COLA increase that we do every year. That cost of advertising and replacing individuals can be quite significant. And we do, earlier this year, we did have that retention strategy that council adopted. And I think it's important that should council wish to change something, they look at the policy and go from there. I'll just comment on the budget because there's been some comments, if you don't mind.
No, please.
Mayor Milne. We will be starting the budget process sometime in January. Staff are currently maxed at capacity, and we have to get through the 2023 audit, which is currently starting. And in order to bring forward accurate numbers for the 25 budget, we need to make sure that 23 and 24 entries have been completed. So we've delayed the budget until the new year, until we have a better picture of the audit, and staff have been freed up that are working on the audit.
Thank you, Dina. Barb?
Sorry, I had my microphone on anyway. So the other thing that I wanted to add is COLA, or cost of living adjustment, helps us stay current so that we don't fall behind the 50th percentile. and have to do a whole bunch of catch up in 4 years when we do another market evaluation. So that is my final comment. I'll call the question and I'd like a recorded vote.
Okay, Jason?
I get what you're saying, and again, it's not an attack on staff. And it never has been. Staff do a good job. They get paid well. I got no problem paying somebody very well. We sit here and compare with other municipalities. Other municipalities are doing their budget now. I'm reading in all the papers. They know what their numbers are going to be. I get what we're saying. It's only this, it's only that. The single mother living in Holstein, her taxes are going to go up. We don't know what anything's going to be in the budget. I get what you're saying, Barb. We don't, it's still, but I just don't understand. I don't understand how I go to the money to borrow bank. I got to have what's going on here. What's happening? What are you going to do? What are you going to do this? And it just seems like I get COLA. You don't want to get behind, but I think staff is paid pretty decent. I'm not, I just find it, I know it's in the policy. So there's nothing we're going to do about it, I guess, unless we change the policy. I just, taxes are going to go up, and same thing. Everybody's going to say, well, it's only $25 a household. When they're making 40,000 a year trying to get by, it's hard to swallow. So I leave it at that.
Thank you. Monica?
Yes, and just to that point as well, before we vote, that's 100%. Where my comments are coming in as well is, again, sometimes I think that things are said on council that would make it seem that others don't understand how staff pay works. When that is not the case. It is, again, just knowing the numbers before going forward, and with regards to the finances and being responsible that way. We did do a lot of work on council to make sure that we got the market value up. And we did a lot of that work too. So just wanted to say that, yes, we appreciate staff, we understand, and we also want to know the numbers. And we just heard that the audit for 2023 is still not done. So I just wanted to have that responsibility there. Thanks.
Okay, so go ahead, sir. Jim?
Yeah, and I'd just like to echo, it's not an attack on staff and the COLA. It's the general public does not get COLA in the private sector every year. Some do, but a lot don't. And there's a lot sitting at the same wage they've been sitting at for quite a while. And that's all I'm saying.
Okay, thank you. So the motion to refer until we have the budget completed is on the floor, and a recorded vote has been asked for. Madam Clerk, would you take the poll, please? Oh, sorry.
I'd like to split the motions.
We have a referral on the table.
We have a referral on the table, so we have to deal with that one first. So Madam Clerk? No.
Okay, so recorded vote was called, and this is to refer the staff report until the 2025 budget approval. Councillor Rice,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Dobreen,
No.
Councillor Shipston,
Nope.
Mayor Milne,
No.
Councillor Singh Soares,
Yes.
Councillor Ferguson,
Yes.
Councillor John.
No.
I vote of 4 to 3, that has lost.
Very good. Thank you very much. Now we're back to the original motion here as it has been presented. Any further discussion on the motion? Barb?
I'd like to split the motion. I guess through you to the clerk, would it be advisable to do every clause separately, or I don't know?
It's up to council. I mean,
Because the first
the fourth,
four are to do with COLA.
that's right. And the fourth clause about the agreements, I mean, those are in established agreements that COLA is applied to those agreements. So
I would.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
No, I'm talking, the final clause is the one-step pay band.
so you want to
Increase.
look at it as COLA as one thing, including agreements, and the pay bands as another.
I'm just. Yes, that's my desire.
Okay.
So the first then would be,
Motion to adopt the 2% increase for the staff grid.
So it would be
2%.
COLA increase for the staff pay grid, the council and volunteer firefighter pay grid, and for agreements. That would all be effective January 1.
Kayla?
Yeah,
Please.
Should agreements be broken out? Because some of these agreements, we have to pay people or people have to pay us prior to when we're gonna have the 2025 budget passed.
That referral failed though. So we're back to the current motion. They just want to vote separately on it.
I know, but voting separate, my fear is that if something was to not pass for COLA, then how does that affect our agreements?
Okay.
Mm.
So, okay, we'll just do it easier. We'll vote on each clause separately then. It's easier that way. Right?
I only, my
No.
my thought there is though that all of these items follow current policy.
Mhm.
So if we're gonna deviate from policy, is that where you're going?
No, I withdraw my, I withdraw the split.
Okay.
Just
Okay.
vote.
So the motion
Doesn't
as
matter.
it proposed, as it was proposed, is stands. We have a mover and seconder. Is there any further discussion? Not seeing any, I'll call the question. All those in favor?
I get a preferred vote.
Absolutely. Councillor Rice has asked for a recorded vote. Madam Clerk, please.
A recorded vote has been called on staff report HR 2024-008, COLA and staff step increases. Counselor Rice,
No.
Counselor Singh Soares,
No.
Mayor Milne,
Yes.
Counselor John,
Yes.
Counselor Shipston,
Yep.
Counselor Ferguson,
No.
Deputy Mayor Dobreen.
Yes.
By a vote of 4-3, that has carried.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Lindsay. It is 10:05. I would propose that we take a 5 or so minute recess and we'll reconvene after that. Okay, we'll bring the meeting back to order. Counselor John and Counselor Singh Soares, are you online? Yes, they are. Okay. So we'll move on to the next report is the from the Finance Department is regarding IT infrastructure upgrades. Who is?
It's Kayla.
Oh,
She just hasn't quite made it back to
All right,
her
no, we'll
desk
we'll
yet.
just
or
wait a
seat.
minute for Kayla to come back. We didn't do that on purpose. Sorry, I didn't realize the next report was yours. So we are reconvened and back to order. So Kayla, the report. Oh, I need a mover and seconder for this. Jason and Martin. Kayla, please.
Thank you. This report we're bringing forward because we've been working with our third-party IT company, and over the last little while, we've identified that some of our IT infrastructure is becoming quite aged, and that comes with certain risks. So we were reviewing how to bring this forward in the 2025 budget and identified that we actually do have a project in 2024 that was not completed and is now being pushed out further. So we're recommending that we use those funds that were budgeted and approved for 2024 towards the IT infrastructure instead of the finance software, which is kind of in the same realm.
Okay, thank you, Kayla. Any questions, Martin?
So Kayla, these updates, they're more being upgraded. They're more dealing with the amount of spam we get, the amount of, is it more that liability than just upgrading a system? Is it more to protect us as far as scams and all that kind of stuff?
Thank you. Yes, I wouldn't say like spam email, but for sure the cybersecurity, upgrading certain infrastructure will help with that. And also just the risk of these devices failing us and us having the downtime. You know, if we lost a server, we would be down for possibly a week or more while we ordered it and got it on site and got everything restored. So these are pretty high risk, and same with the phone system. We're not going to function very well without it. So these are things that are required to be upgraded, and they are starting to fail.
Thank you. Barb?
Through you to Kayla, thank you for the creative financing. Two things. The phone system is VoIP, which is through internet. So when the internet is down, we have no phone system.
That is something that we are planning on moving to, yes. With that being said, we have had many issues with our hard lines as well. So either way, there's risks there of outages.
Okay. And my second question, if I may.
Yep.
The cybersecurity, the aspect of this in the project, I know that the insurance company at one point said if you put certain steps in place, it helps with our insurance premium. Is any of this going to satisfy or check off any boxes with the insurance company?
These would, some of these items could check off some of the boxes.
Thank you.
Jim?
So with the phone system, are you now on fiber optic or for the internet?
Yes.
So that's pretty secure, like you shouldn't have the issues as with just the regular, like beaming through the sky internet service, right?
Yes, that's right. Our internet has been quite a bit more reliable since we switched over.
And then with the, the spamware and all that, and there's so much people's personal information. Yeah, we have to definitely protect that. So
Absolutely.
you hear of it where I think just the other day I heard where I think it was a private medical facility in Saskatchewan got hit, and there was I think 20-some thousand people's personal information was taken, so definitely, yeah, something we've got to be cautious of.
Thank you. Monica?
Yes, thank you. Just through you, Chair, I do think that this is a smart move in reallocating the funds to address immediate need for IT infrastructure. Also, I just wanted to add that I am hopeful that this will help to address some of the ongoing tech issues for both staff and council devices. Personally, I didn't have access for almost 2 months to my laptop or my iPhone, and staff were trying their best to get that fixed for me. So I had almost no access to emails and residents, announcements, events. So I am very happy to see that IT infrastructure is being looked at and that this will help to fix such issues in the future. So just through you, Chair, again, to Kayla, thank you again for doing this. And also, would there be an option to take a look at how we would be able to have a more speedy process in ensuring that we have the devices we need in order to effectively complete our duties?
Thank you. Did you want to respond, Kayla, or you're good?
Can.
Sure.
As far as the expediency, I think some of it really was at certain times staff capacity, that we don't have a dedicated IT person right now. So some of that is that we do work with a third party provider who does a great job, but they're serving other customers as well and have to prioritize.
Yeah, thank you. Dina?
Just add one more comment to that. I think when Kayla and I spoke about this, we built in some additional spare laptops to have on hand. That was part of the problem for Councillor Singh Soares is the spare that we provided her also failed. So that took a little longer again to get another computer in. So we've built in to have 2 spare computers at the township office that could be redeployed and would serve to expedite some of that process.
Very good. Jason, did you have a question?
No, it's more of a comment. I mean, you know, you need the tools, and if it's gonna help us, for sure. I was just wondering how far we do this, how far out is that gonna, I can't think of the right word. Are we gonna be good for 5 years or 10 years or?
Kayla?
Yes, I believe that 5 years is a fairly reasonable timeline
Right.
for these types of devices. Part of this report also is creating an IT infrastructure reserve so that next time we do need to replace
Yeah.
something major, we're not coming and it's hitting the budget. It'll be there waiting for us.
Thank you. Any other questions? Martin?
Not a question, just a comment. This is really needed, and it was good to see the report because the spams that we're getting, you know, that's just the tip of the iceberg per se. And I'm not really well versed with computers. My grandson says I'm a dinosaur, so I guess I'm a techosaurus. I don't know, but this is so important because alluding to what Jim said about, you know, it's better to have the fiber optics. My way of thinking, if it's more reliable, that just means the hacker has more time to get in. I don't know. So it's good to have that updated. And if it is for 5 years, then it's money well spent and the reserve's a great idea. So.
Good. Thank you, Martin. Any further questions, comments? Call a question. All those in favor? That is carried. Thank you, Kayla. So as the clerk advised, the following 3 reports regarding Explore Communications have been removed from the agenda. So our next report is from the Planning Department, and it is regarding removing the holding from 221 Doyle in Dundalk. Someone care to move that, please? Martin, thank you. Seconder? Barb, thank you. Bill, this is your report, I understand, so welcome. Good to see you.
Thank you, Mayor Milne. Good to see all of you there today. Hope the snow is not too deep.
Thanks for your concerns. Yeah, how's the snow in Texas?
It's cold today. It's +10.
Oh, gee. Yeah, I feel for you, buddy.
Council's asked to pass a bylaw to remove the holding provisions that apply to the zoning bylaw at 221 Doyle Street. Sorry, this is a property where you signed a final capacity allocation agreement last council meeting, as well as a servicing agreement last meeting. Those agreements allocate sufficient water and sewer capacity to the site and provide for the construction of the connections to these two rental buildings at the applicant's cost. Having signed those and having placed the lands into a single title some months ago, this allows council to remove the holding provisions that makes affect the residential exception 559 zone, and they can now proceed to the next stages, which would be building permit. And happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Bill. Are there any questions from council? Did you?
No, I.
Yeah, okay. Barb, go ahead.
Through you. Good morning. Yep, still morning. Hi, Bill. This is the back-to-back towns that are Doyle, Artemisia, and this is the Doyle side. Will servicing and all of those other things, that this doesn't apply to the rental towns that will front on to the other street? Will that come, or does this service both?
Through Mayor Milne to the Deputy Mayor, yeah, this will service both. The address is still a remnant for just Doyle Street, but it would be both Doyle and Artemisia Streets that are serviced under those agreements that have been signed, and that the holding will be removed from.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else have any questions? I just had one question for the clerk. I'm wondering, in the final clause of that report, it says that council approved bylaw. Should that be council consider? Because we have the bylaw following. Yeah, okay, just.
Yeah. Friendly amendment.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I just,
Yeah, you're
Okay.
right, though, yeah.
all right, any other questions? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? That is carried. Now we move on to the bylaw that will actually do the deed, so to speak. Someone care to move that, please? Jim, seconded by Martin, thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor? That is carried. Thank you very much, Bill.
Thank you.
Moving on to bylaws and motions. We have the first there is to appoint building inspector Michael Lansdell. Someone care to move that, please? Barb, seconded by Joan, thank you. Lindsay, is this,
Yeah,
you're gonna speak to it, please?
I do see Phil is on the line, but this is just a simple appointment bylaw. Michael joined us about a week ago, and for him to do his job effectively, he needs to be appointed. So,
Right on.
yeah.
Okay. Phil, do you want to add anything? I see you're online there.
I just want to congratulate Michael on hopefully his appointment.
Yep. Okay. Thank you. Barb?
Through you, Mayor Milne, and I just, for the record, this is a replacement position, not a new building inspector. Michael, welcome. It's not that you are new to the organization, but it's not a newly created position. So we're not increasing the building department. And the good news is that building inspectors are not taxation.
That is all correct.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Call the question. All those in favor? That is carried. And indeed, welcome to Michael. The second report is actually the bylaw that we'll do.
Nope.
Nope. Okay.
Different.
Oh, that's the point, the municipal bylaw enforcement officers. Yes. Thank you so much. I did read that wrong. Sorry. Someone care to move that, please? Martin, seconded by Joan. Thank you. Lindsay.
Sure. Through you, Mayor Milne, this is just to update the staff list from Municipal Sport Services, which is our contracted bylaw enforcement and canine control service that we use. They just had a few staff changes, and so we have to appoint them by bylaw. So this is just an updated bylaw with their updated staff list.
Very good. Thank you, Lindsay. Barb, question?
Thanks. I didn't write it down. Thank you. Through you. So the order of calling for bylaw enforcement is still through the township. We engage municipal support services when after hours, basically, and when we're backlogged, perhaps.
That is correct.
Okay,
Yes.
is there just, so my further question is can we not just, I guess by law, we have to appoint individuals?
Correct,
Oh,
yes.
thank you.
Thank you, Barb. Any other questions? Joan, I see your hand up. Go ahead.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Lindsay, because I was wondering if we hired all these people or if we didn't have an organization that we go through for the bylaw enforcement. So thanks for the clarification.
Thank you,
Yep,
Joan.
No problem.
Any other discussion? Your hands, oh, there are your hands down now. Thank you, Joan. Not seeing any further questions. I'll call the question. All those in favor? That is carried. Thank you. The third bylaw for consideration this morning is regarding the interim tax levy for 2025. Barb moves, seconded by Martin. Thank you. Lindsay.
Yeah, this is just a procedural matter, essentially just to approve the interim tax bills to be sent out. Typically, you would see this more at the beginning of the year, but we're just getting a head start, essentially getting the bylaw passed, and bills will be processed and hopefully not interfered with the Canada Post strike.
Yeah, there's that, isn't there? Thank you. Mover and seconder, please. We got that. Okay, then. Any discussion or questions? I'll call the question. All those in favor? That is carried. Is there any notice of motion? I don't believe so. Okay, consent items. There are under regular business, there are 3 items there. Reports and minutes. Someone care to, does anybody require any of those removed for further direction? I'll ask for a mover and seconder to receive them. Jim, seconded by Monica. Thank you. I'll call the question. All those in favor? That is carried. Then there's the correspondence consent. There are 3 items there from our conservation authorities. Somebody need any of those removed? Someone care to move them? Martin, seconded by Jim. Thank you. Discussion. All those in favor? That's carried. Resolutions of other municipalities. There are 3. Oh, there's quite a number of them there, maybe 10 or so. Anybody wish any of those to be removed for further direction? I need a mover and seconder, please, to receive them. Barb, thank you. Seconded by Joan. All those in favor? That is carried. County report. Barb, do you have anything?
Thank you, Mayor Milne. Yes, actually, last night, Mayor Andrea Matrosovs, Councillor for Grey County, was appointed as the 2025 Warden of Grey County at its annual inaugural, and just wanted to congratulate her for stepping up, but more importantly, to thank our own Mayor Milne for the 2 years that he did the wardenship so diligently and with very little burden on me. That was really great. But I just wanted to thank you on behalf of, I can't speak for anyone else, but thank you for doing the warden duties for 2 years. You're going to miss it, I think, but thank you. And as far as council business, council is providing a letter of support for Safe and Sound to apply for overnight emergency shelter beds for a granting opportunity through Reaching Homes. And we are going to explore further options for the potential of a centralized planning service, possibly a hybrid model, and there'll be more information coming.
Thank you, Barb, and thank you for the kind words. Indeed, it was a wonderful evening last night. And what Barb didn't tell you was that she actually nominated Councillor Matrosovs, and she did a very good job of doing that. And I do want to thank all of council and staff here at Southgate for their indulgence while I did do the warden's job. So I truly appreciated the support. Thank you. Okay, any questions regarding county business? I don't see any. So we'll move on. Members' privilege, news and celebrations. Anyone have anything they wish to share? Barb?
Thank you. Dundalk Santa Claus Parade is this Saturday, December 7th at 6 p.m. I was going to say the 6th at 7, but that would mess everyone up. So that's in Dundalk. There you can pre-register your floats. All are welcome. And the Holstein Santa Claus Parade is the following Saturday in Holstein at 1 p.m. December 14th. So yeah, exciting times ahead, and stay safe.
Indeed. And thank you to Barb for helping organize the parades and times and stuff. And as far as council's concerned anyway, so. Any other items to share? Okay, not seeing any. We do have a closed meeting this morning scheduled. Be it resolved that council proceed into closed session at 10:35 in order to address matters relating to litigation or potential litigation, including matters before administrative tribunals affecting the municipality or local board. Subject is litigation update, and that all those required remain in attendance. Someone care to move that, please? Martin, thank you. And Jason, all those in favor? That is carried. So we will proceed into closed session. All right, we are back in open session. I can confirm that we only discussed those matters that were listed on the in-camera agenda. Confirming bylaw. Someone care to move that, please? Jim, seconded by Martin. All those in favor? That is carried. We have one further motion. Barb, seconded by Jason, all to adjourn. All those in favor? That's carried. We are adjourned. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.